What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. I have a special guest with me, a gentleman I met several years ago doing a football camp in Stafford, Virginia. A young man that I still have a lot of respect for, always have since the first time I met him. Today we have Greg Scott in the building, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Thank you for having me, bro. Peace to you. How you doing, man? I'm glad to be a part of the Victory Life family, man. Awesome to you.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about your family. We appreciate
Right.
your support and being part of the Victory Life movement, man.
No
For
doubt.
those watching, man, Greg is a former college and NFL standout player. We're gonna get to all of that in a second. But like me, he has a passion for helping his community, helping the youth. He's a very unique individual. We're gonna talk about his legacy and the impact he's had in the Northern Virginia region and throughout the state of Virginia. But before we talk about your foundations and your accolades and your awards, let's go back to day one. Let's go back to day one when
Let's
it
do
first
it.
started, where you grew up at, and what was it like growing up? I don't even want to know about just football yet and sports, because you're a phenomenal athlete, but talk about your home life, where you from, and how was it growing up?
Man, I appreciate it, man. But I grew up out in Cincinnati, Virginia, man. Cincinnati, Virginia, a small country town out here in Southampton County, Virginia, man. Had some great roots out there. I'm the baby of 5 boys, got 4 older brothers, man. We had the blessing of all growing up in the same house, being right there with mom and dad out there in Southampton County, man. So it was a lot of hard work growing up, man. My father owns a lot of land. We had to do a lot of chores, a lot of grass cutting, a lot of wood busting, doing chores for other people. You know, my dad was just voluntarily, but he taught us the basic principles, man, of hard work, being respectful, and being someone that people can depend on. And those are very important principles, man, that we thought Pop gave us, man. So me and all my brothers have been able to go out and do special things out here in the world, man. I kind of had to try to live up to the bar that those guys had set before me. But just a peaceful growing up, man, rural area, country boy to the fullest, you know, just had a dream of trying to make something special happen, man.
Yeah, you did make something special happen, and you ended up being one of the top football players in VA as you got towards your senior year. But before you got into that legacy of being a standout athlete, when did it start to begin to happen for you? You know, having older brothers and a dad, that hard work, you had your commitment to your household responsibilities and chores.
Right.
But when did you find time to start to transition to becoming an athlete? When did that process start for you?
Well, man, I kind of knew early on, man, because out playing around with my brothers and everything, man, and then, like I said, it's an 8-year gap between me and my next brother. So they are all, you know, 48, 50, you know, moving on, you know. So back then, you know, we had that gap as well. So, but they were always telling me, man, you're a great athlete. You can run, you can jump. So, and I was a basketball lover, man. We had this basketball hoop out at the house. And, man, I was playing basketball every day. I would be out there for hours by myself, man. So I kind of developed that passion for sports at a very young age, man, because, of course, my older brothers played. You know, I was the only one fortunate enough to try to take it to the collegiate level. But watching them growing up, man, and just I knew early on that God had given me, you know, some talent, a big body. You know, I was always bigger than my peers, my age. Ended up being, you know, so I just knew early on that I knew I was going to try to take this route, you know, the sports route. If it didn't work out, hey, at least I tried. But I knew in my heart of hearts, man, it was going to be a well-loved journey. You know, sports was it for me, man. Basketball and football was the highlight of my life besides my family and doing other things. So I knew early on, man.
Yeah, and, you know, I met you years ago at a football camp.
Right,
and
stuff.
And yeah, we were down there speaking to some kids. It was you, myself, a couple of coaches, and I remember. I know I'm very passionate. You know, I'm big and tall, former offensive lineman. I stand out no matter where I go. And then I see you walk up, and I'd heard of you. I knew of you.
Right.
And I see you talk, and what stood out was you had the gift of gab like me, but you also were very empowering, inspiring, and passionate. Did that was that coming on like when you started to play ball when you were in middle school and high school? Was that same passion shown on the field?
Yeah, I would say so, man. I really tried to lead by example, bro. I learned early, like, look, I'm gonna go out here and put myself in the best position where my coach don't have to say nothing to me, but good job. You know, I wanted my coaches respect. I wanted my teammates respect. You know, my peers. So I always tried to make sure I do my job, man. So I was passionate about it. I wanted to make sure my teammates knew I was laying it on the line for us every day to try to win, man. And just thank God we won a lot in Southampton back in the day growing up, football and basketball. So the passion just ran through the rest of us. And I was lucky enough to have a lot of other guys that were with me along that journey that were just as passionate about the game of football, our coaches' wants and needs. And so we were able to do some special things out there in Southampton, man.
So I'm from Hampton, VA. Grew up in Hampton and Newport News, Virginia, 757, the Peninsula, in
Right.
Warrensburg. Then you hear about the other side, Chesapeake, Suffolk, P-Town, Norfolk, and Val Beach. Let for my listeners and my viewers that's gonna check this out. You know, I know where you played, but what high school did you play? And if I was trying to get to Southampton, who's in your district? Where do y'all play? What are y'all known for? Who are some of the other great athletes that came out of that area?
Oh man, well, trying to let people know where we are geographically. We're probably about maybe about 50 minutes west of Hampton, man. More inland into the inland part of Virginia, going towards Emporia, down 58.
Where you get your tickets at?
We're not too far away from y'all. Back in the day, we were in the Bay Rivers district, man. So we were playing York, Bruton, Nesman River, Lakeland, who else was it? Jamestown, Grafton. We were coming over there playing all the Smithfield, playing all those schools back in the day, Brunswick County. And it's changed a little bit now. They're in I think it's the South Side District, Southampton County Southampton High is in now. But Southampton High School, man, we tried to represent in the Bay Rivers. We took pride in being the little small country school that was down 58 that was coming over to, the other side of town trying to knock folks' head off. You know what I'm saying? So we really, we took pride in being that country team, man. And I think we gained a lot of guys' respect. Our coach, Littleton Parker, hats off to him, man, and his staff. They always took us over there, and we would go scrimmage, some of the heat. They would take us over there. We would go see Phoebus. We would go see, I want to say we scrimmaged Norfolk Academy a couple times. I'm not sure how they were back in the day, but I know Phoebus was that heat because when we left from playing Phoebus, we knew we had played a football team. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Yeah, we smaller country town out here, man. We were just trying to put more in Southampton on the map. Everybody knew about Hampton, what I mean? We wanted to put Southampton on the map, man.
No doubt. Were there some players, when you reflect on your time in high school, were there some players you played with or against, even in scrimmages and games that you remember you had some wars with? We're going to get to the All-Star game in a little bit.
Right.
I don't want you to get to that yet because that was a special team. But to your high school days, as far as in that district at Tab, Phoebus, were there some players you remember that you went against?
Yeah, of course, man. And then I want to go back and pay respect to some guys in Southampton that came before me. Percy Ellsworth went to University of Virginia, man, was an academic All-American. I also played basketball at UVA, but went on to play 6 years in the NFL. He was a safety for the Giants and the Cleveland Browns. Riddick Parker was a Southampton grad as well. University of North Carolina, went on to, I think he was a free agent, went on to play with the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. So I had some guys right there, Walker Gillette, way back in the day that came through Southampton. We've had at least 4 or 5 guys have the opportunity to play pro football right from Southampton High School, man. So we had some legacy growing up. But now fast forward back to some of the guys I had wars with. Man, we used to, my man Slade at Tab, it's Chris Slayer's little younger brother. It's Lamar Slade. We used to have battles over at Tab. Over at Smithfield, my Conrad, who went to Hampton with me, Chris Parker, came out. We was banging heads back out in Southampton, playing Smithfield. Jay Loudon from Bruton. We had some tough wars, man, with some schools over there, man. And we just were thankful for that opportunity, man, because we took pride, like I said, in trying to step up to that level of play. Because I would tell anybody, Southampton, we go hard. We play, we respect the game, we love the game. But the further you go east, and you get out there to the Hamptons, the Phoebus, I mean, all the schools out there, man. The IC Norcombs, you gotta step your game up. You know, them boys, they play at a different speed. The Nazareth River, the Lakelands. So we had a few schools and players, man, that we had some battles with out in Southampton that we knew that we were playing against great competition back then, and we were just glad to be in that arena where people will respect us as well.
Yeah, man, that was the golden era, and you named some great players. And shout out to Percy Ellsworth. I obviously he was a UVA guy, but I don't care where you play. If you that good, you that good. I remember watching him play at UVA. He's a little bit older than me, and then I saw him playing in the NFL, and he had range as a safety. He was special, and all those other guys you named. I remember pretty much all those guys. It's amazing, man, because you mentioned about being at Hampton and Phoebus and Norcombe, but, you know, I found out very quickly, you know, Smithfield and Tab, there's talent everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
You know, it's talent everywhere. And you say, okay, they single A, they double A. Then you see someone like yourself, you looking illegal. You walking around. When I met you, I said, yo, I'm thinking you supposed to be on our side of the water, man.
Yeah, man. It's just not as plentiful of a, you know, as you come in, man. You know, you guys are down in the 7 cities, man. You got a lot more guys to pick from. You know, I want to say Southampton back in the day, we had 800 kids at our high school, man, our senior year, man. So and then we were coming over there playing Tab, Bruton, and all those kids. These kids had, you know, 1,100,000 kids at their school, man. We were just happy to still be in the bunch and be respected amongst those guys, man. So, yeah, we definitely had some great players out there, man. I had some great guys to follow that had come right through my high school, man, that had paved the way. So, shout out to all those guys, man, that laid the path for me to follow, man, and the coaching staff.
No doubt. And what position did you play in high school? And you've also played basketball, too.
Yeah, I played basketball too, man. I was a 4 or 5 for basketball for us, man. We had some great teams back in the day. We won 20 games a couple of years, but I was, you know, football was my heart. You know, I knew that early. You know, I was only 6'4". I was like, hey, you point guard playing basketball at the college level. Let's switch over to this other side. All I got to do is gain some weight.
Hey, G, isn't that crazy? I was talking to Ahmad Hawkins about that. How you are so long in football at 6'4", 6'5".
Right.
In basketball, that's a guard.
Yeah,
I'm so crazy, man, how different that is.
We Dwayne Wade, man. You know, we the lookout on the court, man. And when you go to that basketball court. But in football, man, you premier height for that defensive end, outside linebacker, D-line position, man, O-line. So if you can get around that 6'4", 6'5" range, man, you are passing the eye test for a lot of college coaches out there. You just got to show the rest of the stuff now.
Yeah, man. So you down in Southampton, you know, you're coming up, you know, at an early age, just like a lot of great players, that you have that it factor, but you are a hard worker. That was instilled into you by your brothers and your dad. So you come from humble beginnings.
Very much so.
And you grind. When did the schools take notice? Because I interviewed, you know, our good friend Elton Brown. And Elton said, you know, Vic, I didn't even realize this. I know Elton pretty much most of my life. He said, I didn't really start playing until 9th grade. And then he had some challenges and he overcame them, and some people started seeing his size and athletic ability.
Right.
With you, when did they first start offering, when did, you know, see you? Because everybody gets noticed at different times. And I'm surprised in talking to some guys, it's later in their high school career, or some guys, you know, it's right away. I think now with 247 and Rivals, kids are getting exposure and getting noticed much sooner. But for you, when did that first call or letter show up to you?
I mean, I would have to say, man, the end of my sophomore, the beginning of my junior year. Because, see, fortunately, right, back out here, man, I was so fortunate. I played varsity all 4 years, both sports. I never got a chance to play JV. You know, my coach saw me, you 6'4", you 14, come on, you know, you're going to play varsity. And thank God it just, you know, that playing varsity all 4 years really prepared. You know, my freshman year and my sophomore year, I would just really get my feet wet, learning from the guys in front of me. But playing at that level and that speed for 4 years, my junior year, my senior year, my eyes really started to open up. The game started to slow down for me a little bit. So it was a wonderful thing, man. And I would say, you know, around the end of my sophomore year, junior year, when I first started getting those letters like, hey, we see you, you know what I'm saying? And thank God we were winning. You know, we were constantly going into the regional championships and early rounds of the states back with Southampton back in the day in both sports. So my name was able to get out there on both sides of the, on both sides of the
no
sports,
question.
basketball and football. So I would say I was lucky enough to get noticed, like I said, right around the end of that sophomore, beginning of the junior year, man. And then from there on, things just progressed. Thank God. The pool opened up because at one point, everybody was on me. But then when they came back and, hey, you're a partial qualifier. Some of the big dogs backed off of me.
Hold on, who was some of the big dogs? Who was some of the
man, I was getting letters from everybody, man. North Carolina, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, UVA, UConn, Texas, man. I got letters and letters, man. So that was confidence building for young Greg Scott as a junior and a senior in high school. To like, man, these people are taking notice of you, man. You keep working, you keep grinding, keep treating people right, respecting your elders. We never know what can happen if we keep taking this path, man.
Was it, being from Southampton, you call yourself a country boy. I think, at the end of the day, we all got some country in us. But at the end of the day, man, like that, I remember, when I reflect on my career, especially having a son and two daughters, and you and I both have worked with students and student athletes over the last 20 years.
Right.
It's still refreshing when I see young men and women get those offers. And I remember when I got mine, and I remember getting them at the school and they start coming to my house. I'm like, man, this is Oklahoma. This is Clemson. This is, this school. And, was it humbling for you, overwhelming? I mean, were you like, yo, I'm getting ready to go to this next level?
I would say it was a little bit of both, man. It was very humbling because you never really want to think of yourself as this, you always want to stay grounded, man. I knew I was a good athlete, but I knew I had some more work to do. But then you start getting these letters from these big schools, the Notre Dames, the UVAs, the Florida State, and you like, wow, man, this could really happen. So that's when you really had to tone in and be like, look, let's stay focused, let's continue to grind, and let's see what happens. But it was, I wouldn't say any part of it for me was overwhelming because, again, I was coming from such a small rural area, and I want to say I cherished every minute of that ride, man, getting those letters, getting some of those phone calls from some of those coaches, man, talking to them at some of the camps I would go to. It was just a wonderful experience for me, man, because it was like I was seeing my dream come true slowly, one footstep at a time. You know what I'm saying?
No question. Thank God I'm older than you because I would not want to see you on the field, coming off that edge because I saw you play. And with that being said, I've always known you as a loving and giving brother, just always out here grinding. We're going to talk about your work in the community because your reputation is impeccable. But on the field, I got to know, like, I know you were a dog,
right.
but I didn't play against you, so I can only go off what Ron Yell and people told me about you.
Right.
Were you that guy that chirped? Were you like, like, I'm talking to you and I'm going to give you this work, or you just were a quiet assassin? Because I'm trying to see that alter ego, because I know you as hugs and picking up boxes and feeding families and running out there. But I mean, in that game, especially the way I saw you play, but I couldn't hear anything. Were you that guy that told people, oh, I'm getting ready to get this on you right now?
I'm going to be real with you, bro. I was a kind of go with the flow type of guy, man. If the brother was quiet and respectful, that's what I was. I was about playing the game. You know what I'm saying? Good job, man. But if it got to that level, oh yeah, so I was one that could adjust to any scene. If you want to talk, we can get after it, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I was one of the ones that talking takes a lot of energy, man. That once I realized, because that takes a lot of energy once you're exerting. Exactly, man. You're exerting all this energy for 4 to 5 seconds, play after play. So sometimes that 25 to 30 seconds in between, you just want to chill out, man, get focused, think about the next play, you know what I'm saying? So I was one of the ones, like, I would go with the way my competition would go. I've had my days where I'm having a really good game and I may start it, but usually it would be from my competitor. Like, I would go with the flow. Like, if you want to keep it respectful, let's just play the game, man, let's do that. But if you want to chirp, I chirp with the best of them. I chirp.
So, G, before we talk about where you ended up playing your college career at, you were part of one of the best all-star teams in VHSL history.
Man, I be telling people,
listen,
man.
Listen. Tell them to call me. Okay, so,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm that dude. You see me online. Look,
Right, of
at
course.
the end of the day, you were on the team, and again, the VHSL. I don't even know if they still have that game.
They do have it, man. I just think they do have it.
Oh,
They
okay.
still do have
I didn't know it because I know what I call the golden era, and for like 25 years, going back to Eric Hunter and all those guys
it. Man,
in the 80s into the 90s into even the early 2000s, that was the game you wanted to play in Virginia. If you
that
got that
set the
invite,
standard.
that set the standard. And you were on the team. You talking about Javon Quillen,
Yeah,
Roniel Whitaker, Lee
yeah,
Stuggs, Ronald Curry, Michael Vick,
right,
Bobby Blizzard, and I'm forgetting
right,
some people. Roniel Whitaker, if I haven't said his name.
right.
Oh my goodness,
Max Yates.
Marlon
Yeah,
Hicks.
yeah, Marlon Hicks.
It was so many. I know we forgetting people. That team
Uh,
was,
man, it was so many guys out there, man.
yeah.
That squad was packed, man. It was some talented guys out there, man. I was starstruck coming from the country, seeing some of these guys. I done seen Vic on TV, Friday Night Lights. I done seen Curry. So I was kind of starstruck coming to see some of these guys, man. So it was a talented roster, man.
And how was it when you got there? I mean, you talked about how and I know what you're talking about because for those that's watching in that era, and I think it still comes on. Bruce Radar would have this show called Friday Night Lights,
Yes,
and
sir.
he went around the whole region. I
Yes,
mean, they
sir.
had helicopters at games, and he would show highlights like it was ESPN of Tab versus Bruton and Hampton versus Bethel, and then he said, "Let me take you to the South Side where Deep Creek is playing." Norcom, and you would see all
Yes,
these
sir.
guys. That's how we got, because we didn't have Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So that's
Mm,
how we learned about who everybody was. So
right,
when you got there, that's back when we all stayed at Hampton University, that whole
right.
thing on campus, and it's East versus West. What do you remember about that whole week, man, being around those guys and what you did in practice, or how was it like being around all of them?
Man, I really as the week first off, I want to say hats off to all those guys that were there, man, because with that respect, I had so much respect that we had a chance to see the Michael Vick, the Ronald Currys, the Marlon Hicks, the Max Yates, the Roniel Whitakers, all these guys in person, man. So it really made me step my game up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, you down here amongst some of the names, represent for the, Southampton. Make sure carry the county on your back down here. Let them
Mm-hmm.
know that we play good football out there. So it was great, man, competing with these guys, learning from them, being able to just talk to them and know that we all are fighting the same fight. We just in different geographical areas, man. We all trying to get to school, go further, better ourselves, educate ourselves, man, love the game of football. So I had a great week, man, down there, man, learning from Coach Mike Smith down there at Hampton. It was a great week for me, man. I was amongst the stars. I was just glad to be there,
Yeah, I'm surprised Coach Smith didn't get you over there with us earlier, man. Coach Smith, he got, we end up seeing players join our program, man, before they end up at another school, man. They say we recruit. I say the school recruits itself.
Hey, man. Hey, y'all guys want to be around winners, man. Hey,
Yeah.
y'all were winners. You know what I mean? Y'all were winners.
But you were winning too, man, because you became, like I mentioned as we started this show, became one of the top players in the state. And even amongst all those greats that was on that team, you mentioned earlier in your response that you were a partial qualified. Uh,
Right.
you ended up at Hampton University, right?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
before you knew you were going to HU, I know you said some schools backed off. We're going to talk about Hampton University in a second because you won some great teams there.
Right.
Who were you looking to, again, as they say, your top five, or who was going to be your top two, or the school in general you were going to go to if you did not go to Hampton University?
Man, my heart was set on going to be a North Carolina Tar Heel, man, because I had
Mm.
seen, Percy Ellsworth, like I said, leave and go to UVA. At that time in my mind, I wanted to get out of Virginia. So
Mm-hmm.
I went for a little bit further south because right before Percy had went to UVA, had a chance to hear about and briefly see at a very young age, Riddick Parker dominate our district and go to the University of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go down there, man, and that royal blue and that powder blue and that white was doing it for me, man. I wanted to go be a Tar Heel, man. I was set fast on that. But then, of course, some other people came along, but I never really lost my focus. I wanted to be a Tar Heel, but then once I found out I was a partial qualifier, and like I said, some of those schools backed off. But everything happened for a reason, because I want to say when I stopped getting some of those phone calls from some of the big dogs, and when Hampton stepped up, I was like, you know what? I am going to give you everything I have, because I got to let some people know. I know you had to do the business, but I know you could have worked it out if you wanted to. But I got to let you know, Hampton, I appreciate this opportunity. So I'm going to give you everything I have for you guys taking a chance on me.
Yeah, man. And then you went to Hampton and you played for Coach Taylor and company.
Oh, man.
And that, you know, people don't realize, I know now, especially with the climate of this country, and there's been a push, a resurgence of guys. We just had a guy commit today, a 5-star center that turned down Kentucky and UCLA and
Right.
went to Howard. But during that time frame, there was a push, and Hampton became a power.
Yeah.
And they became a great school, but they put guys in the league and they had a great program. And my mom was a graduate of Hampton University, so I was always familiar with HU.
Right.
Talk about those teams, those defenses, the coaching, the environment at Hampton, and what it was like playing there during your time.
Man, it was a wonderful atmosphere, man. Yeah, I couldn't have went there at a better time. Like I said, had the privilege of being coached up under the great Hall of Fame college football inductee, Hall of Fame coach Joe Taylor. Man, and just the atmosphere that they brought there, like you said, we had some winners there. And my main thing was, you know, what else motivated me was I had seen guys go to Hampton University, HBCU, smaller school out here, you know, out here on the coast in Virginia, and get drafted, sign free agent deals. So I was like, hey, I can still make this dream happen from here. And, you know, they took a chance on me. I'm going to give them everything I got. And was there with a lot of great other studs, man. You know, a lot of guys, you know, have went through some things and transferred into Hampton, but I came in with a very good class of high schoolers too. And our program was, you know, man, Coach Taylor was a disciplinary. You know, he was.
Yes,
you know,
he was.
He was a disciplinary, and I couldn't. And that for me was nothing but a transition from my high school coach to be. So I fit right into that system well, man, and was able to go there, be around some great guys, be on some championship teams down in Hampton, win a lot of games, and kind of carry on the tradition there and learn a lot during that time, man. But just the coaching styles, you know, man, that I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it, boy, if I had to do it again. If I had to go back and do it again, I would go to Hampton University again, man. I just fell in love with the atmosphere, the experience, the HBCU experience, HBCU experience, and just, you know, fell in love with it, man. Was thrilled to go there and just see tons and tons of African-American people bettering themselves every day. Like, to me, it was like, yo, this show that was on TV back in the day, you know, it was
a different world.
A different world, man. I was like, yo, this is real.
It was based on Hampton University.
Yeah, I was like, this is real. Like what I was seeing on TV, this is real. So I was thrilled, man, to be in that atmosphere and to be around those brothers, that camaraderie during that time, man. It was a great fit for Greg Scott.
And we keep it real on this show, and I've known you for quite some time now. That atmosphere also included some very beautiful women.
Woo! You don't want to talk about that? You don't want to talk about that?
The bands, the food.
Man.
Oh, you know, and listen, you know, I was around. My dad's a Norfolk State grad, and my mom's a Hampton grad. So my sister and I grew up going to the Battle of the Bay, getting them sandwiches wrapped in aluminum foil.
So you know all about it.
I loved it. You know, I tell people all the time, tech actually was so different for me because I grew up around it. I felt like I even went to elementary school at the lab school. I went to elementary school at Hampton University before transferring into middle school. So I was around it all the time, man. So, you know, that atmosphere is so true. And I'm glad that you said that about how you would do it again, because as someone that's worked religiously with a lot of young men and women in the student athlete realm, I tell them, hey, man, listen, Oregon, Nebraska, Duke, those are all great schools. But, you know, Alcorn State, Hampton, you know, Norfolk State, those schools are just as good as far as getting what you need. And sometimes you need a different environment. Sometimes you want more support. One thing I recall with my mom, she taught a lot of football players because she was a biology professor at the time. And she had a lot of guys that had to come through her class as part of their curriculum. And she worked with them where sometimes at other universities, you'll have the football support, but the professor can care less about what your athletic accomplishments are. You know, where Hampton had a true family atmosphere.
It very much so, man. had so many people there, man, that were willing, outside of my coaching staff, that were willing to help Greg Scott. You know, it was a wonderful place for me, man. I would do it again. The chairman of my department, may he rest in peace, Dr. Screen. You know, it's just so many people bent over backwards to make sure that Greg Scott had an opportunity to succeed, man. And that was one of the burning fires in me, man, that I said, you know, once my football days are over and I'm taking these pass off, I want to make sure I help some people. Because, man, I wouldn't have been able to get to the point I got, or the point, you know, God has allowed me to get to without those people helping me, man. So I thank him for moving those people back in the day, for seeing something in me.
For sure. Absolutely. And did you ended up getting your degree at Hampton?
No, I'm actually still working on it right now. Right now, I'm working, taking some online classes, man, trying to finish school right now as we speak. Because, man, when I redshirted my freshman year at Hampton, when I was actually, you know, back then they were calling it a Prop 48.
Okay.
I was, you know, I came in and they was like, "You're a great athlete, son. You're a great football player, but we got to get those grades up." So I took the first year, 98, 99, and I just set out and prepared my mind, my body, and got my career, you know, got my classwork done in order to be fully eligible to step on the field in 99, my first season, man. So I played 3 years at Hampton, set out, and so once they told me that, hey, son, you're on a lot of teams' draft boards, I withdrew from school. I was like, I'm out. You know, I went to go start training.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you know, I was eager to go about the dream, man. I love school. I love Hampton University. Like I said, we'll do it again. But my vision was to always play in the NFL, man. I wanted to play in the NFL. And, you know, thank God during my time at Hampton, I didn't have any serious injuries. I got some great accolades. I was all MEAC, you know, my junior, senior year. So it was time for me to move on, man. And you know, God worked it out at that time where I fitted right into another good system, man.
Yeah, man, you have been blessed. And you also, again, had that work ethic that a lot of talented players think they have but don't. A lot of people don't realize what working hard means. And because of your dedication and hard work, you mentioned, which is going to be my next question, you were all conference and you were being recognized, and the NFL came calling. What year? I mean, as far as like, was it Coach Taylor that told you? Or, you know, I know when I was at Tech, guys would, you know, start hearing from their position coaches in the media, you know, magazines and things like that, like saying, hey, you got a chance to leave early. Or, you know, for you, was it a coach in particular, or, you know, as far as, you know, your family was telling you? Who was actually, how were you finding out?
Well, man, be honest with you, the first time I found out I was on the radar, Dwight, was I had just come back to school, man. We had just finished my junior season we had just finished my junior year, this was 2000, my junior year. So I was back at school, and you know how the season over with, you come back for off-season workouts and everything.
Yeah.
And one of my teammates, man, shout out to my boy Harry Cornell that was there with me from South Carolina. He was like, yo, man, you know you made first team all district. And I hadn't heard nothing, you know. I mean, I was so focused on trying to, you know, just do my work, stay working out, man. I didn't, you know, I wasn't worried. I'm not gonna say I didn't appreciate those awards there, but I always had my mind on something else, you know what I'm saying? So I just kept my nose to the ground. But my homeboy was the first one to let me know. And later on, after he told me, I talked to my head coach at Hampton around like an hour later, Joe Taylor, and he let me know that I had made first team all conference defensive end as a junior. So, man, that's when it really took off. You know, as the weeks flowed, starting to hear from agents, you know, different things, you know, people calling, just saying hello, hey, how you doing? I see you doing some good things. So, man, it's just, like I said, again, to me, the light went off like, hey, man, I'm one step closer to my dream. Stay focused. Let's not mess nothing up. You know what I'm saying? You're almost there. Let's not mess nothing up, man. So that's when the light went off for me, man. And then I was able to go back out again my senior year and earn, you know, all conference, black college, all-American. So it was just, seemed like the dominoes were falling, man, right in place, man, for me to walk into the NFL and like carry out my childhood dream.
Yeah, and did you end up going to the combine, or did you do a pro timing day?
I went to the combine. I went to the combine 2002, and I was down there with Julius Peppers, Dwight Freeney. Oh man, it was some
Mm.
freaks down there, man. It was it's
Yes,
amazing,
that is.
talented guys. And I'm sitting down here, this little kid from Hampton University in here with all of these guys, man. So another humbling moment for me, man. But I went down even at because I worked out. A lot of people don't know this, man. I was one of the biggest linebackers at the combine in 2002. Of course, I played very little linebacker at Hampton University. I
Yeah, I
was a
was getting ready to
deep.
say you weren't even the linebacker. I remember you playing. You had your hand in the dirt, as they say. You were coming off the edge.
I was a defensive end, man, but when I got to the combine, somehow they said Greg Scott put this linebacker sweater on. Who am I to argue with anybody? You know, I'm gonna do what I'm told. I'm thankful for this opportunity. So I worked out at the combine, man, at 268, bro, doing linebacker drills. I've been a defensive end my whole career, man, at Hampton University. So I ended up working out with linebackers, man, and I ran a 4.68 40 at 268 pounds, man.
Okay.
And did some very good drills, was able to catch the ball. I could, just thank God being an athlete. I was able to move as fast as some of the 240 linebackers and everything. And I think that also helped a little bit push and then my time, my 40, my pro time there in Hampton, I was able to have a good showing there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of helped a little bit, people. And then my time, my pro day, and I saw Marvin Lewis and George O'Leary at my pro day at Hampton University. I'm like, man, get out of here, man. They come here to see me.
Yeah.
And that's what really let me know that, hey, you can make this happen. So, you can make it. You're right here. Again, don't mess it up. These people are coming to see you, what you work for your whole entire life is right here in front of you.
Man, that's got to be so cool, man, because here's this several years, prior, you just coming up, next thing you know, you got all those big time schools looking at you, and
Right.
you had your heart set on Carolina, but your dream was still coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And that's a
man.
definition of resilience and not just feeling bad for yourself because you had a couple of challenges. And yet here you are with those guys watching you down at Hampton University, man. But, because I grew up in Hampton, my mom and dad educated me. Hampton, they put their fair share of guys in the pros.
Oh, man, I want to say at one point in time, man, that may have changed recently. But as far as 757 schools, man, schools within the Western, the 7 cities, Hampton was up there, man, as far as, the draft picks of guys coming out of ODU, Norfolk State, Hampton, all of the local schools right here in the area, man. We had a year, man, in the 2000s, because I got drafted in 2002. A couple guys had come before us, but that 2000, all the way through there, man, to maybe about 2009, 10, we had some astronomical things being done, man. I want to say, and don't quote me, I'm going to go back and check, but I had this remembered, but I want to say we had at least about 9 or 10 guys drafted from Hampton University. Now, HBCU standards, that's like New England Patriot type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No question.
But, so we had, like you said, we had built a name for being a place where if it didn't work out for you at the bigger school, you could transfer to Hampton University.
Well, no question. Because I remember on my visits, man, Hampton University, people were surprised at me because I was highly touted. I'm getting letters and getting recruited by Pitt and Virginia Tech, East Carolina, Boston College, and Notre Dame, Florida.
Right.
And I had Hampton and Howard in my top 10. And I remember I would, go there and visit. I was there all the time. I went to Kitty College during the summer. I was running around that track. I grew up in Hampton, but some of my teammates ended up going there. A guy by the name of Lloyd Tucker. He played defensive tackle there, and he told me, man, playing for Coach Taylor and those guys was great. And I remember seeing a lot of guys when I used to go there and hang out that were from the South Carolinas that maybe had gotten into a little bit of trouble. Or from, up north, Penn State, and they were there. So it wasn't like y'all didn't have talent. And Coach Taylor knew how to connect with those guys and get everybody to buy in, man. So you are part of something very special, man, culturally as well as historically with everything that happened at Hampton University, man. So
through that, man. Great place, man. Great place.
I know the team, but let's talk about the teams who you thought were going to take you, who ended up taking you in the NFL.
Man, I had heard, man, of course, we're coming out, and going to the combine and Senior Bowl, Hula Bowl. I had heard from Minnesota. Talk with Carolina, because when you go to the combine, you do all these interviews with all the different teams. So I interviewed with maybe about 12 different teams, man, because I want to say I was on 13 different draft boards. For me, 32 teams, 13 draft boards, man. I thought, hey, my chances are pretty good. I'm again, this little small kid from Hampton, and you talking about you have me on your draft board. So again, it was a humbling experience for me, but interviewed with about 13 different teams, man, and Dwight, I was so in awe of the situation. Because like I said, you got to remember, this is something that I've dreamed about as, from 5, 6 years old. Like, this is what I want to do. And then to be able to go through the process. So I didn't really care who drafted me, man. Any phone call that I would have gotten was appreciated. I wanted to go play for anybody. Now, of course, growing up, I was a diehard Chicago Bear fan.
I was going to
Walter
ask you,
Payton.
what was your squad? Okay, the Bears. Okay.
Chicago Bears, man. Richard Dent, Walter Payton, Jim McMahon. I was sold, man. I love the Chicago Bears, but I knew the chances of me playing for Chicago was slim to none. Any team taking a chance on me was a blessing to me, man. So I'm sitting there. We're going through the draft in 2002. I had heard I could possibly get a call around the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So we go through those rounds. I don't have a phone call. So it was a very emotional day, man. It's up and down. I didn't get the phone call I was anticipating during the rounds I thought I was. We go through the 6th round. I still don't get a phone call. So I'm watching and I remember Marvin Lewis telling me, though, when he came out, he said, Greg, we need a young defensive end. And if you're there in the later rounds, I'm going to draft you. I remember Marvin Lewis telling me that when he came to my workout day at my pro day at Hampton University. And a lot of people say stuff, Dwight. You're like, well, okay, but I'll believe it when I see it. So I'm watching the 7th round, man, and pick 234. And right as that pick is coming up, my cell phone rings. Man, again, we did some traveling at Hampton University, but I'm still a country boy. I ain't know what 703 was at that time. So I look at my phone, and I'm like, and I see, more Coach Lewis picked up the phone. He said, Greg Scott, hey, are you ready to be this is Marvin Lewis, the defensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins? Are you ready to be a Washington Redskins? I can't tell you exactly what I said right here, because we want to keep it professional, man. But I was excited, bro, to get that phone call. And as he's asking me this, I see, and it seemed like life slowed down, man. I wasn't no number 1 pick, but to see my name scroll across that screen, pick 237, the Washington Redskins have selected Greg Scott from Hampton University. It was, man, that's when the emotion started to hit me, the tears, and for a second, you're able to sit there and think like, man, all those days when nobody was looking and I was lifting weights, running sprints, doing stuff to get to this point. Like, man, I'm here. Like, people are going to be able to watch this TV screen and see that the Washington Redskins have selected this small country boy that was telling all his teachers he's going to go to the NFL for years. It finally happened, man. So it was a wonderful moment for me, man, and being able to watch the draft around my family and friends, man. It was cool, man. I could have went free agent, man. It was still a wonderful opportunity for me, man. It didn't make a difference, but to be drafted from Hampton University, I want to say that was special. That was special for me, man, because I didn't think I was going to get drafted, but to go there and still make it work and ultimately reach my goal, it was all I needed, man.
And that's during the time Marvin Lewis, and then I think Greg Williams came after. That's when the Redskins' defenses were ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Marvin Lewis had just came from Baltimore. He had just won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis, and he had come to Washington. So guys were excited in that room, man. We were thrilled to play for a Super Bowl champion winning defensive coordinator, man. So we were thrilled.
One thing you did and you said that I'm very impressed with, because I've asked guys even off the air, was just in the barbershop, in the weight room talking, or even just hanging out. You didn't badmouth anybody, because I know what it's like to wait to hear your name get called and to even wait for see of guys I admire get their name called. And a lot of players you sit there with, you go from anxiety to stress to curiosity, confusion. And it's tough, man, because, I remember, for me, I'm watching, I'm like, they just took a dude from South Dakota State. Who is this guy? I said, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
bro. Like, you go from like, okay, it's round 6. I know I'm better than him. This guy,
Right.
I seen him play. He's trash. So I respect the fact that you didn't do. I really do, because
Right.
I've talked to guys and they give me the unclean and clean version. And they be like,
Right.
man, Dwight, I was sitting there looking like, bro, this guy is a clown. I killed him, or that's political. But that just shows you, man, you're a class act, because you could have been in your feelings waiting,
Right.
And
I
I
could
know
have,
you saw
man.
some guys. I know you saw some guys, because guys that play college football, we watch, if we have time, we watch other games.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you know who your peers are. Even though you at a smaller school, you still know who your peers are in the ACC, in the Big Ten, in the SEC. So
Right.
I respect that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Again, you got to remember, man, this a kid coming from Cincinnati, Virginia, Dwight, getting drafted to the NFL, man. I didn't see no bad in that. No matter if a guy in front of me had, man, whatever. We here together. Let me earn the respect of my peers here like I have everywhere else. I don't mind coming in, fighting, earning mine. So I was just, again, thankful to be able to be amongst those names, those people, and made it work from Hampton University, HBCU.
And when you get to Washington, man, you talk about, now you're there. Now your dream is really happening, and you're playing
Right.
for Marvin Lewis, who's a great coach, great guy, well respected in his profession.
Right.
And you not even that far from home. You in the DC area.
I'm 3 hours away from home,
3 hours
man.
away from home, and which in Virginia, unless you're a Cowboys fan, the Redskins teams are pretty much that's the Virginia's team.
That's our team.
So at the end of the day, man, how was it? Like, who was there with you? Who were some of the guys you remember playing with, and how long did you play with the Redskins?
Man, I played with the Redskins 2 years, man, but that locker room, man, was so star-studded, man. I had so much fun learning from. Now I bagged up Bruce Smith, man, the NFL all-time sack leader, man. So, I mean, Dan Wilkerson, Daryl Gardner, Jeremiah Trotter, LeVar Arrington, Champ Bailey, Fred Smoot, Stephen Davis, Rod Gardner. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, man. And then, had a chance to go out to Cincinnati, Ocho Cinco, TJ Husmanzada, Willie Anderson. I mean, man, the list, the people I had a chance to play with and watch, Justin Smith out of Cincinnati.
And you at Cincinnati with my guy Shane, right?
And I was, again, thrilled.
And you were there in Cincinnati with
Man, Shane, the coolest damn kicker I have ever seen, man. Shane is the coolest damn kicker, man. He was so ill, man, but Shane was an awesome guy, man. And Shane was not only he was good, man. I want to say I got my 2 years in Washington, man. I was there with Steve Spurrier. We were 7-9 twice, I want to say.
Y'all weren't on the team that I remember one of my favorite quotes, and he was like 5-11. Not too bad, not the best, but because Steve Spurrier, he recruited me
right.
when I was at Hampton when he was at Florida. And
right.
His son was my recruiter. And the stories, just watching him, man, I watched you when you were at the Skins. I remember those teams.
Hey, look, funny guy, man. He was a character, man. Steve Spurrier was a character, man. But I want to say that those times, those memories, those people, those teams, I always cherish them because, like I said, again, I was a small kid coming from Southampton, man. But then I got to Cincinnati, and, Cincinnati was the dumps when, I got there, man. That was like the graveyard for people.
Yeah.
That was like on your way out. Nobody wanted to be in Cincinnati when Marvin Lewis first got there, like in 2003, man. So to go there and be a part of that foundation that made Cincinnati relevant again. We were 8-8. 9-7, 10-6 squads out there, man. I was, so it was a thrill to go there and be in that city and go from things being horrible to being at least respectable. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Cincinnati, man. Great city out there.
Yeah, it was. And when you talk about the NFL, before we move on to your post-NFL career, I've interviewed a lot of guys, Michael Vick and Cornell Brown and,
right.
a lot of guys that were in camp and on teams, Ken Oxendine, who played in the Super Bowl, Marcus Hagans. everybody said the NFL has sometimes some great moments and you have some fun moments, but it's strictly a business. It's not the same. Um, you seem to have enjoyed your time, but what was your best time comparatively speaking? Was it the days of Southampton? Was it at HU? Or was it the NFL? What was your best when you say, if I could go back, this would be the career or the time frame I would go back and play?
I would have to say, man, to be honest, my greatest memories of football come during my time at Hampton University, man, because the grind is so real. And at that time, it ain't no money involved, right? You know, you
Mm-hmm.
just, I mean, it's money involved, but it's indirect. You know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
you are still there for strictly football and educational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
The grind of being a student athlete, having to, when these people get out of class, they going home to their apartment, whatever. I'm going to go to practice and bang head. I'm starting my second job while
Second
you
job.
guys are going chilling. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that time period, man, and it's nothing like the drive of trying to get somewhere. Dwight. I know you know, trying to get somewhere. That process, man, you can learn a lot about yourself and know that, you know, that process is real because of the work that you're putting into it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're really about your grind and you're really trying to get there. I would say that. When I got to the NFL and it became, that's when I was starting to see it's a little bit political. Because, of course, you know, I played behind some great guys, right? But I felt like I played behind some guys that also, I know,
I
you know,
know. Look, yeah.
you know, I mean, we got tape coach that'll show you like I'm a little bit better than this guy, man. My reps compared to his reps, but you know, at that time, you know, anybody saying nothing. You know, I'm a small kid from Hampton. You just want to be a part of the situation at that time. You know, just keep your nose down, stay clean, put it on tape. So in practice, you gotta remember, I'm a scout guy, Dwight. So I'm going against the best guy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going against John Jansen. I'm going against Willie Anderson out in Cincinnati. These are Pro Bowl guys. So, and I'm earning these guys respect. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm giving these guys reps. So, some of the guys that I saw get a chance to play before I did, I was a little curious about it. Like, but hey, that wasn't my place at the time. I just
Mm-hmm.
tried to keep my nose clean and stay, you know, keep my eyes on the dream and just be in that moment. Let's not find nothing negative start to try to pick at, you know what I'm saying? Be in that moment, cherish every rep, because there's a lot of guys out here that wish they could be in your situation, so don't be here complaining. That's what I used to tell myself. Let's enjoy it, man. You know, this is what you dreamed of. Of course, there's some parts of it that we don't like. But the hell with that, let's enjoy the dream, man. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Let's enjoy the dream.
You know, man, every time I hear you talk, man, I get chills because you just have the moment I met you almost 10 years ago, you have a positive outlook. I'm telling you, man, because some guys, no, you do. Some guys live bitter. You know, I call it there in their second childhood. Some guys will still hold on to the fact that they didn't get a fair shake or they see the politics. And you know guys, and I know guys from high school that
Yeah,
were just as talented, but they were focused on the wrong thing. And that bitterness will polarize you. It'll hold you back. You
it
know,
will, man.
but
And
you just seem to, make the most of it. You stay in the moment and then you push through it and you find that silver lining, which is why you've been able to evolve into another successful career. When did your seasons in the NFL end? Was it a knee injury or is it, you know what, I'm done. I'm getting ready to take it to the next level and find my niche now post NFL. What happened again that when your career came to an end?
well, what took place though, after 3 years, you know, I had a chance to play 5 years, man. After,
Mm-hmm.
3 years out there in Cincinnati, after that 2006 season, uh, I got cut going into the 2016. You know, I got
Okay.
cut going into that season.
Okay.
So I went and I go play arena football for 2 years.
I
I
didn't
go
even know
out
you
there.
did arena, man. I did arena,
Yeah,
man.
man. I snuck
That
some
is
around.
so different.
Hey, look, I went and snuck 2 years of arena football in, man, out in Grand Rapids with the Grand Rapids
Oh,
Rampage, man.
okay.
Shout out to those people out there, man, who, again, took another chance on me to bring me out. Uh, Went and did that, man, because the love of the game was still there. You know, I knew I hadn't gotten released from the highest level of competition, but hey, at that point in time, life had changed. You got bills now, you got children. Let's keep the money flowing. You know what I'm saying? Let's go play arena football, get some fast money to keep paying bills. and making sure you can handle your responsibilities as a, you know, a father and, you know, a boyfriend, soon to be a husband at that time. So arena football was different for me. It was to carry on what I had started. You know, I wasn't bitter going there because, again, it was about continuing to pay the bills. But 2007, man, I tore ACL playing out there in the arena. And it's so funny how God works right there. A lot of guys get hurt in situations, man. And football is a physical game, man. I played all them years, man. Just like you know, you played all those years. And I got hurt in the open field planting, trying to change directions. Like, ain't nobody touch me. You know what I'm saying? I just planted, try to go a different direction. Boop, up my ACL. They come get me out there off the field. And I'm at that moment, Dwight, I knew right then. It seemed like I felt God speak to me like, hey, man, you've had a good run. A lot of guys would love to say they played 5 years in the NFL and 2 years of arena football. Your dream was able to take care of your well-being. It's time to move on, man. And I knew right then, I hadn't even got up and took a step. But when I felt that ACL pop, I didn't know what it was at that moment, but I felt something pop in my knee. And you know, athletes know they die. And I knew something was no longer normal. Something's wrong. At that moment right there, I knew, hey, man, we're going to get this knee back to a good strength where you can walk around and be Greg Scott, but you've given this game a lot of your life, man, and you went through it and hadn't had any serious injuries up until this point. It's time to move on. And I knew then, right then and there.
So is that when Cover 3 Foundation began to take shape? Is it, okay, you know what? God spoke to you. You recovered from your injury. A lot of guys, when I've interviewed, you know, brothers like Damon Baco and Tony Rutland and so many athletes I've talked to over the last decade,
right?
They go through a tough transition, including myself, where you like, even though I got my degrees and I got networking and relationships, I'm like, man, this is finally over. Some guys, you know, they struggle, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a tough transition.
It is a hell of a transition.
When you woke up, you were like, you know what? I'm gonna work with youth and families. Cover 3 Foundation. What happened? You know, like, did you go back home in Southampton? Did you stay in Florida? I mean, what happened?
Well, I left once I tore my ACL. I had my ACL repaired in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So once I got it repaired, I flew home, man, to be around my family, because at that time my daughter was young. She was, I want to say, maybe about 2 or 3 years old, and I wanted to be around my daughter, man. So I flew back home to do my rehab here in Suffolk, Virginia. So I came here, man, and my plan then was I gotta still be around the game. The game has been too good to me to just shut that door. So I'm gonna go back to Hampton University, be a GA, and I want to be a college football coach. You know, I'm gonna take it from him, start at Hampton, and let it go from there. But during my time when I went back to Hampton, man, and I was coaching football and was able to help a couple guys further their NFL careers, just work with them, teach them a few things I had learned from the NFL. Chris Baker, who was a defensive MVP for Washington one year recently. Kenrick Ellis, who's a 3rd-round draft pick of the New York Jets during that time, man, back in 2008, 9, 10, somewhere around that frame. I had coached those guys at Hampton, so I felt like, you know, I had done college coaching for 2 years, and then also I was finishing my degree as well, man. So Hampton, my degree was communicative sciences and disorders, which is basically speech pathology, bro. So when I had come back to Hampton University after my playing career to finish that, they have changed my curriculum, Dwight. So when I left school, man, to go to the NFL, I had like 17 hours to finish school. So I was like, man, I'm gonna come back and knock that out in no time. I come back to Hampton University, my curriculum has changed. I would go from having 17 hours to like 79 hours.
What that sound like? What?
But exactly. I'm like, who the hell has that much time left for school, bro? I gotta get out of here. My daughter can't eat no books. So it was at that time where, like, I had to make a decision, like, what are you gonna do? But, like, again, God works in mysterious ways. So during my time at Hampton University, like I said, I'm going to school trying to finish my degree. God puts Gary Singleton in my life. Gary Singleton, during the time I was at Hampton University playing football, Gary Singleton was a Hampton University police officer. Now that I've come back and I'm coaching, he is a restricted earning GA coach for the football team. He got out the police force, and he wants to help coach football. But he also had his own nonprofit called Peace in the Streets that was doing amazing things in Newport News, Denby area like that.
Yeah.
He was feeding a lot of kids. He was helping a lot of people. So like I said, I'm tunnel vision. Football coach. This is what I want to do. Gary keeps telling me, like, hey, Greg, I'm trying to tell you, man, you are the type of person that could take what I'm doing, take it back to Southampton County. Say, Greg, you're the guy. You're the guy that could do it. It's, you could go help children. He had been telling me about his program, how he's feeding all these kids every day, helping these kids get through the day. Some of these kids don't have any food to eat once they leave school. And the more he keeps talking to me about it, the more it starts to sit on my heart. Right? I'm like, yo, and just so happened, we go on the away football trips at Hampton, we coaching. Guess who's my roommate? Gary Singleton. So, man, God works in mysterious. So, Gary beat this into my soul maybe about like a year and a half. Right? He's like, Greg, I'm telling you, you are the guy that could take. He's like, Greg, no one is doing it back out your way. I used to send food from my organization out to Southampton to feed kids. He said, there's a ton of people that need this help, Greg. You are the guy that can carry this back. So I'm sitting here listening to Gary for all this time. And then also, man, the school is telling me, yo, you're going to have to go to school for another 2-3 years. And I'm like, you know what? Lord, this situation is kind of forcing me into my next life, my philanthropy, my entrepreneurship. So I left school, man, and then another thing happened. So I had those 3 things going. I had those 2 things going on, and then something else that kind of happened that really pushed me into it. Right? So I'm at HBCU. So like I said, I'm at Ed 2 coaching, finishing my degree. I'm getting all this news I can't finish. Like the very next day after I got the news that I got like another 2-3 years, man, I'm at home. During that time at Hampton University, I'm on unemployment, right? So this is really how I'm making it through, bro. I'm drawing unemployment from Grand Rapids, Rampage. Things are hard. A lot of the NFL money has run out. I done filed bankruptcy. Things were tough, man. Life was at a different time. I was going through the thick of that transition. I get a call. It's the repo people. They looking for my Yukon Denali that I got. They got to come get the truck. I just decided, like, hey, Lord, obviously you don't want me here no more. I need to go home. I got to take this truck home, get these trucks to these people. So I go get my truck repoed to Dwight, and, man, it seemed like that was the finishing touch for me. All my stuff from the NFL that I had, money, friends, accolades, possessions, everything was gone. And it was like the Lord, I just kept seeing Cover 3 Foundation, Cover 3 Foundation. Do it, Greg, do it. Help somebody, change somebody else's lives, help these kids. And, bro, I put my nose down in 2010, filed for my nonprofit license through the state. Was able to get qualified through the child and adult care feeding program and the summer feeding program through the state of Virginia. And, man, I put my nose down and just went with it, man. And said, I'm going to give this a try and see what happens. 10 years later, Dwight, we fed over 3.3 million healthy meals and snacks to Virginia kids, man. I got a staff of 10 people. Man, we're just fighting childhood hunger at an all-time high. I had no idea it was going to dwarf into what it did, man. And we're feeding the entire Western Tidewater, feeding 3,500 kids a day, man, for years, man. Dwight, I can't tell you, man, the strip and how my life has went, the peaks and valleys, I couldn't have written it any better, bro, because I just live a very rewarding life now, man, knowing that every day an idea that someone else gave me it has come to fruition, and I'm helping so many young people every day by giving them this meal every day, Dwight, Monday through Friday. And man, my life, I sleep good, bro. Let me tell you that, I sleep very good.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love everything
about you.
I've loved everything about you since I first met you. And then I started, me and you've done camps together, football
Yes,
camps.
sir.
We've done symposiums. You drove one time down to Lindsay Middle School in Hampton. We only had like 3 kids show up. You still spoke like it was standing room only.
Hey, I
I
had to give
remember,
it to
you know,
you.
but hearing about your Cover 3 Foundation and the growth I've seen take
Right.
place within your organization is inspiring to me and even others, because there's even been, and I'm going to share this as we prepare for your interview to show this coming week. There's a documentary people can watch. How can they watch the documentary on you to learn more about you in addition to this legacy spotlight? How can they watch it, and what channel, what app or whatever? How can they check more out about your story and Cover 3 Foundation?
Oh man, I appreciate you putting that out there. But they can definitely go see the story of my life. It's called Our Daily Bread. And like I said, it's just the journey, man, from childhood all the way up, all the peaks and valleys of life. A very relatable story for everyone. But they can find it on Amazon Prime and Tubi right now, man. It came out. We were able to hit the scenes on Amazon Prime and Tubi March 28th. 2020, so it's been out there for maybe about we had our 90-day mark was June 28th, so we've been right out there a little over 90 days, man. Getting some good rapport back from it, man. So yes, please, y'all go check it out. Our Daily Bread on Amazon Prime and Tubi right now, but just gives you a very detailed look into my life and some of the great people that I had a chance to run into. Had some wonderful people in it. Miss Dorothy McCullough, who's the former First Lady of Virginia. She was an adamant supporter of Cover 3 during her time, where her and Mr. Terry McCullough were handling things for Virginia. Marvin Lewis is in it, of course. Very intricate part of my life. Joe Taylor, my college football coach, the Hall of Fame inductee college football coach, he's in it. Chip Smith of Chip Smith Performance Systems down in Atlanta. Chip has trained everybody, over 1,800 guys he's helped get to the NFL. Man, my man Zuriel Smith, who was a college teammate from Richmond, went to Adelaide High School, went to Hampton University, got drafted by the Cowboys and played with the Patriots. So a lot of people, man, were able, and some family members that I have, a lot of people were in this documentary and gave their 2 cents about what they saw from their view about what I went through in this journey from high school to college, the NFL, bankruptcy, philanthropy, and just, coming back home, man, and helping my area, because that was another thing that was important to me, man. I wanted to come back home and help a lot of the people that had helped me along the way. So y'all check that out, Amazon Prime and Tubi.
Yes, I'm gonna share it, and I'm gonna keep sharing it. And
I appreciate it.
Didn't when I was watching as it was premiering and you were promoting it on different social media accounts, and again, I'm getting old, so I want to make sure I saw this right. Did I see Styles P from the Locks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I saw that one day, and I said I need to text G about this. I was like, how you get Styles P? Which I'm a hip hop head, even though I'm an OG now. I said, that's pretty cool, man. And then seeing him promote it, because Styles P has a roughness about his music,
Right. Hey, look, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna put people on, man. Those were Cameo productions, man. You know how you can go on Cameo now, tell these stars about what you're doing, and they have an option to where they want to promote it. You know what I'm saying? So,
wow.
I will say my man Xavier Scott, he did know Stacey Dash before we had run into her, because my man Xavier Scott, who helps me run Cover 3 Foundation, he was in the music industry for some time. He managed Trillville, was around Dame Dash for a little while, has had a chance to meet Stacey. So, but Joe Theismann, of course, I met Joe, in all the Redskin alumni stuff, but those were through Cameo. I sent them to them, and they have to read it, and then they agree to it or not, whether they want to do it or not. So again, shout out to all of them for reading that script and seeing that Cover 3 Foundation was something that they want to promote. They took the time to do it. So, but yeah, man, we went through everything we could, man, to get it out there, to make sure that people could tune in and watch that documentary, man. We just felt like the story was so powerful, man, and it has something in there that everybody can relate to, man. Substance abuse, different things. People gotta go watch it, man. It's a great doc, man. So please, y'all go check out Our Daily Bread on Amazon Prime and Tubi right now. Great story. I think you'll love it. Very relatable to everyday people life, even though it has some things in there about the NFL.
Yeah, you know, just really quick because we're wrapping up, but this has been so much fun and insightful. But I do want to make one comment before I give you my last question. When I talk about I've seen your program grow, I remember early on I'd be like, hey, G, Greg, we need you here. I'm doing a camp down in Newport News, or I need you to come speak. You were like, yo, what time? Blah blah blah. I'm there.
Right.
Then that Cover 3 Foundation group, you said, hey, Dwight, I'm gonna need you to call. I said, "Oh, you big time." No, it's not. It's just that my schedule, Dwight, is crazy, and it's so true because if people think I'm out here working, which I am,
right,
24/7, this guy Greg Scott is right there with me. If I see you putting announcements, I see you traveling, documentaries, and it's all for the betterment of the kids and families in our communities, man. So.
Man, thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. And much respect to you, man, and all you've accomplished, because believe me, I have watched from afar too, bro, and I've watched how your victory life, your legacy has grown, man, and just all the stuff that we have went through to get to these stages. Like I said, we've been going back and forth for years.
Yep.
So to watch the growth on both sides, man, is truly humbling and special, man. So hats off to you, and continue up the great work, man. And shouts out to, because for y'all who don't know, and I know a lot of y'all know, I was a decent student athlete. This brother, oh man, you take a whole nother level when you bring in the academics when you talk about the right thing. So man, hats off to you, man, for all you were able to do on the field, off the field, and academically, and what you're doing with your life now, man, as a family man. So thank you for letting me be a part of the Victory Life legacy, man.
Yeah, man, and that means a lot. It really does, man, and I'm glad we can grow together in this. And with that being said, I have one last part of the show where I let my guests say their final thoughts. This is the time when, if you want to wrap up, any words of encouragement, some inspirational, some motivational thoughts, or whatever it is, even someone you want to shout out, just what is you want to say, because you're now, you've been a father, you're a business owner, you're a motivational speaker, you are an inspiration to so many. What are your last thoughts that you want to say on this show concerning the Greg Scott legacy?
I would just tell people, man, if you can see it, you can achieve it, man. As long as you keep seeing it up here every day, you can achieve it. And a lot of people won't understand that, but as long as you keep your eyes on the prize and keep that vision, at the end of that tunnel, keep that light shining and keep working to get there, you will get there, man. Because there's a lot of things in my life I told people I was going to be able to do and I've been able to do them. And then God has also showed me some things that I didn't know I was going to do and I've been able to do them. So as long as you stay motivated towards your goals, treat people right, love one another, spread some love in this world, man. Try to make somebody smile, help somebody whenever you can, even if you know it's not going to benefit you, help somebody else, man. God sees all that boomerang of life we throw out there. What you throw out into life will come back to you, man. So I'm just thankful for all the people that were a part of my journey. This great 40 years the Lord has allowed me to see. I hope He let me see another 40, 50 more. So I just want to help people, man. So as long as we got people out here helping one another to right, we respecting one another, and people are believing in themselves and knowing that they can achieve their dreams, man, no matter how old you are, hey, man, they can make it happen, man. And the world is going to be a much better place.
Yeah, awesome. Well, there you have it, everybody. The great Greg Scott with some words of wisdom and encouragement. One of my favorite people
Thank you,
on
bro.
this planet. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know you're a busy person, but I'm sure people have been inspired to watch this. And I thank you, and I can't wait to work with you again in any way I can support. I said this on this show, and I say it even after the show's over. Any way I can support, even donate some time, fundraising, I will, because you're doing it for the right reasons. And like I say, every time we have a show, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you leave a positive impact and a great legacy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, G.
Peace. Thank you, man.